Welcome, dear friends of Kids Cafe community. It's a pleasure to have you here. So, without much further ado, Ankita, over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the lovely introduction. Hello to everyone who's here. I'm so glad that you guys came because I believe, and that's my personal belief and belief of many other parents I've worked with. Like Ricky said, this workshop really changes the way you think, and it kind of sows that seed of a mindset shift. Ricky has, of course, introduced a little bit about me, but I'll just go back and saying that this workshop has been presented to over 600 parents in past 2 years of my work, apart from my one-on-one live sessions, all of that, just online based. And we've obviously been able to grow through this time in various parts of the world. I'll share a little bit about that, but I wanted to share a little bit more about the work I do and what my mission really is, right? And how do I connect with people? So I'm going to start with my story because that's my favorite story. And I have, of course, many other stories which I will share throughout the work today. And before I even start presenting this slide to you, I'm going to put myself on gallery view so I can see all of you and connect through that. So like many of you, I'm a mother. I've got 2 boys. One of them is 14 and the other one is 10. I was a very young mother. So at 20, I got married, and 21, I had my first boy. 24, 25, I had my second one. So I've been living as a mother for almost half my life now. I'm close to 40, saying. So pretty much I've lived my life as a half my life as a mother. The reason for me getting married so early was just a way out of my home. And I was 20 years old. I didn't know any better. My mom said, we'll start looking for a groom for you, you know how it goes in India. And I had an arranged marriage, arranged match. Got in there, everything was all good. I was a very, confident, outgoing, bubbly, loving girl. And when I had my kids, I started to see a different side of my personality. And I started to see that I can get angry, and I can get really, really angry. And I could get upset on things which I would regret later. And then I would be stuck with a lot of guilt. And that continued for, I have no regrets in saying, but yes, it continued for 10 years of life. So my elder one was 10 years old. So it's just been 4 years that I've actually got a major shift in my thinking, and I've started to introduce the program to the other parents and what I went through. So I live in Australia. My mom was here for a holiday. And I was cooking in the kitchen and she was right across. They're boys, so the joy of pillow fighting is well known with boys. They love it, right? They were pillow fighting and they were having fun. And I said to them once, they didn't listen. I said it again, can you guys stop, please? They didn't listen. Third time, in my element, I started screaming really loudly. And my mom said to me, what's wrong with you? They're playing. Why are you screaming? It was then I turned around and I said to her, that's exactly what you did to me. So you can't say nothing to me. And I was like, my gosh. So all this time, I knew what not to do, but I was still doing it over and over and over again without realizing that a part of my mom or a part of dad comes into me when I don't know any better. Because that's what my subconscious knows the best. Because I've lived with that life for the longest. And that's where my journey began. I started going bonkers and studies and researches and whatnot. And from then to now, I've done my NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. I've done my CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. I've done my timeline therapy, which takes you back in the timeline. I'm certified Reiki healer, and I help people shift those belief system and the blockages which they have. I worked with a lot of parents. So this workshop is going to come from nothing but my heart. And I hope you guys take a lot from today's workshop and implement that in your life. The mission of heart-based parenting really is to go and raise kids which are fearless. And you might identify your kids as fearless, but during this workshop, you will realize that we hold our kids back a lot. And I don't think there is any dispute within us at the moment that we raise the future leaders. Everyone up with that? We are the ones raising future leaders, right? So there's no dispute. And what do we need? We need fearless leaders. Now, I do put this up pretty much in the middle of the workshop, but just to get that brainstorm going, you know, some of you've got little kids, right? Under 5, 6, 7, 8 kind of age group. How many of your kids, if they want to go to the washroom, just say, hey, Mama, can I go to the washroom? Hey, Dad, can I go to the washroom? They ask you. That's the kind of control we have, not realizing that in their house, and this is something very simple, and I'll give you like the most basic of examples. If they want to have juice from the fridge, Mama, can I have juice from the fridge? That's one of the most simplest of example I can give you. So freedom means a lot, many things, but it also means releasing the control from us first. And we're going to go into depth of that. But coming back to my mission, I want to help the parents around the world create those fearless relationships with their children, which are not on fear, which are based on connection. So during this workshop, that's what we will do, because I've had so many people come to me say, I don't want to yell, I don't want to scream on my kids, but they don't know any better. So that's the only way they can get that job done, is through yelling, right? Now, I also want to introduce you guys to what you guys are up against. My trust is that you are all here because you want to be a better parent, a better guardian to your little kids or little ones, or support other people in your family who've got kids, right? What are you up against? What are you up against? You guys are up against a community which does not understand the concept of peaceful, heart-based, or whatever, a conscious parenting, whatever you want to call it, right? People don't really understand that concept, right? You are up against the environments, the schools. You are up against your own subconscious beliefs, which you guys are not aware of. So we're going to dig a little bit deeper into that today as well. So share my screen now. Just request a thumbs up if you guys can see it once it's up there. Let me know if you guys can see it. Awesome. You guys know what we're doing. Great. Thank you for that. All right. So, of course, the workshop is why the kids behave the way they do. But I do request you guys to grab your pen and papers at this stage if you guys don't have it. This is going to be a roller coaster. You guys will be writing a lot. 1 second to go quickly grab your papers and pens. While I'll take a sip of water as well.
પેપર આપને બેટા લખવાનું છે કશું મારે આમાંથી આપીશ.
Perfect. All right. So a little bit about me. I think Ricky's covered that. I've covered that. So I'm not going to go through this at all. I've spoken to you guys about my mission. But what is this session perfect for? That you're at the end of the road with your emotions. You do get overwhelmed during the day. This you're constantly disappointed in yourself or yelling at your screaming. And if you don't yell, but you still get upset with your energy, this is for you as well. Now, your house does feel like an absolute. I think someone mentioned that they do want their kids to sleep on time. They want to set limits to screen time. I will be going a little bit into that. And you've asked, you've requested, you've reminded like I did. I said 3-4 times, can you please do it? Can you please do it? And then you finally blast. And now you've become the bad guy because you're trying to discipline your child. That this workshop is for you. What you will leave from here is connection over correction. So this is what you will value when you leave. And I want you guys to write this down. It's just not for the slide. I really want you guys to think about these things when you leave from here as well. So connection over correction. Are we correcting too much or are we working on connection? Response over reaction. Are we responding or are we reacting? And I will explain to you guys the difference between the two. Acceptance over conflict. We'll go into that as well. Pause over inflicting our own thoughts. And empathy over judgment. Right? Take it all down. Perfect. Now the question arises, why do our kids behave the way they do? Why do I have to ask my kids 10 times before they can switch that TV off? Why do I have to keep going on and on and on and on to get that task done? And the only time it gets done is when I scream or when I get upset with my child. Now, I want you to take notice of these 2 buckets on your screen, and I want you to write, make a little circle, put these 2 buckets in your papers. Very important 2 buckets, but I'm going to come back to them and I'm going to stop sharing just for a moment. I'm going to request 2 parents to speak with me, if that's okay. I'm going to just randomly pick somebody. Will that work? Yeah. All right. So Pallavi, do you mind interacting with me and having a chat? Perfect. You unmuted. I can hear you.
Yeah.
All good. Perfect. All right. So Pallavi, imagine a relationship with your partner, your husband or friend, where you've absolutely got no power. There is no power. So your partner, your husband or a friend of yours takes all decisions about your life, but they keep telling you that they love you. They keep giving you the attention. They keep sticking around with you. There's a lot of PDA, hugs, kisses, all of that is there, but you don't have the power to even choose what colors go on the walls, bed sheet, what food to make. No power whatsoever, right? How do you think you will feel?
I will not like it. I would be upset.
Right? You will not like it and you will be upset. So we've got that. Thank you for that share, Pallavi. And I'm going to pick another person very quickly. Ekta, would you like to unmute yourself? You can mute yourself back. Thank you, Pallavi.
Yeah.
So Pallavi didn't have any power, but she had all the attention. Now your partner, your husband, your friend, whomsoever you want to think of, right, says, you've got the money, babe. Do whatever you want. It's all yours. Decision making with you. You decide. But I ain't talking to you. I don't have any time for you, right? What would you feel in that? Where would you be? What would be your feelings? What would you be feeling inside of you?
I would say a little bit empty, not having that connection. So
Mhm.
definitely not fulfilled, not liking it.
Perfect. That's absolutely correct, right? So Pallavi had the power. She didn't have attention. Ekta had the attention, but she didn't have no power, right? So both of them will still feel unhappy, unfulfilled. They'll feel that void, right? Now, these two buckets of power and attention needs to be filled continuously to be able to have that better relation. And all of you have had those days where your partners have said, we're busy on work or we're busy with kid stuff, and they haven't given you any attention for, say, a week or so. You guys are fine. You guys are chill. Like, I understand he's busy. I understand she's busy. We get that part. But after a week, what happens? You start going crazy and you start making stories up. He doesn't give time to me. She doesn't have time for me, right? Those stories play in your mind again and again and again, right? Causing what? Your subconscious beliefs. That's what it creates. That's what it starts creating. And there's no question of love in here. Your partners love you. Your friends love you. Whomsoever you thought about, they love you, right? But I'm just for the purpose of this beautiful experiment, I'm going to pick one more person up, right? Maya, do you mind unmuting yourself? You've got 2 kids, right?
Yep.
Yes. And if I was to ask you, what is the most important thing in the world for you? Who is that person? What would you say?
My kids.
Your kids, right? You love your kids?
I think so, yeah. Most days.
Yeah. Self-doubt is prevalent, right? Isn't it? Most days you love them, yeah? So yes, of course, we all love our kids, right? Now, say you bought your son a goldfish, really, really wanted a goldfish. He was like, I want a goldfish. You're like, cool, I'll buy you one. He keeps that goldfish in a little glass bowl, looks at it every day, talks to it, constantly just loves the goldfish, talks about the goldfish all the time, shares problems with the gold ship. That goldfish is really, the person your son loves. One day, he goes to that little beautiful bowl, puts his hand in, take the goldfish out, and hugs the goldfish because he loves the goldfish. What will happen to the goldfish?
It will die.
It will
Will
die.
Yeah.
It will die. Now that goldfish are your kids. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. It's their self-esteem. It's their self-worth. And if we don't understand how they function, that self-esteem, that self-image will die. But what do we want to do? We want to raise world leaders who are fearless, right? We love our kids, but we don't understand what they need. And hence we keep impacting that a lot. So I want you to take note again. Thank you for sharing that, Maya. If this hasn't straddled you enough, there is more, trust me, which will, right? So I'm going to share my screen again. Same thing. Show me a thumbs up if you guys can see it. Jess, Perfect. Right. So we often do get busy in our lives. And what we do is these two, as I demonstrated with relationships, it's just not the way your kids behave, it's the way you behave. Your adult tantrums come from these two baskets as well. So as we get busy in our day, right, we tend not to give either enough power or attention to kids. We keep water starts flowing off these buckets, and kids are basically remain drained and void of these two most important needs. Now, there are few more which I discuss in my parenting program, but these two are very, very important. And if anything you have to take away from today's session is these two, the most important needs. Now, I'm going to go into them a little bit more. And what is a power bucket and what is an attention bucket? Now, I did give you guys an example more around the power in the beginning, you know, that the kids do ask us about small things, right? And we kind of tend to hold and control and have all the power over them. Now, some of you may think that it's otherwise, right? Some of you may think that it's otherwise. Break that mold now. Your ego is stopping you to understand that you control your kids. Break that mold now. Because honestly, in our vocabulary as well, we don't give power to our kids. And as you guys saw within the group, as adults, if someone's not giving you the power, you can feel completely depleted, unhappy, unfulfilled. And one thing which I don't think will be debatable is that it impacts your self-worth. And we as parents crush it down with every line of control or every line of power. Now there's overpower and there is underpower as well, right? And what we work on is a power share. And Ricky is going to, of course, share my ebook later, which has these concepts in. And I would like you guys to read on that. But as far as power is concerned, overpower is control, right? We decide what our kids do. Underpower is being permissive, and that's not what we do as well. We do a power share where we align our powers and work on certain things together, right? So first, I will go into how we can actually resolve a power struggle, and I want you guys to take notes on that. But attention bucket is pretty self-explanatory, right? We understand when we are on phone, what is happening. Our children keeps coming to us, right? They keep saying, Mama or Daddy, I want this, I want that, I want this, and I want that. Why always when I am on a phone call? Like, why? Because a child needs attention. Now, is it always that you give them attention, that the attention bucket gets filled? And I want you guys to understand this. I'm going to repeat this as many times as you guys need. Is it every time you guys give them the attention, their attention bucket gets filled? The answer to that is yes. Even when you scream, their attention bucket gets filled, but that's with negative attention. And children from the ages of 1 to 7, and I would go ahead and say even teens, they are sponges. They take the information as you give them. Their analytical brain is not developed. Let me repeat that. Their analytical brain is not developed. They only work on emotional brain. That's it. Now, what this means is that whatever you say gets emotionally attached. Whatever you say gets emotionally attached with no idea of it being a right or a wrong. Small example. Very, very common example. Are you crazy? They don't know and have the mind to analyze but they understand they are crazy for. And that's only information which they take. What does that impact? Self-esteem. And we've said this word on repeat so many times. And there are others. And these are the information or probably words which I call the blame, shame, and pain words. The blame, shame, and pain words, which we constantly throw to our kids. It does fill their attention bucket, but wait till teen and see what happens. Right? And as they grow up, I've had all of this. I've had even more. Honestly, I'm no victim here, and I'm not going to say that, oh my gosh, my childhood was this and my childhood was that and my none of that happened. I'm a Delhi girl. I'm a South Delhi girl. If some of you know, out there, both my parents raised me in utmost confidence, like super confident girl. I've been out there, I've done my things, but my mother did yell a lot. My mother did scream a lot. She would swear sometimes. And that, just that, has impacted me so much that I needed to go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into it. And I identified so many other triggers which were going inside of me. And if you haven't had that kind of past, right? Trust me, there's always there. There is something which decides the way you behave right now. There is always something. Now, when you do give that attention to your child on the phone and you scream back, I'm talking on the phone right now. Can you give me a minute? Your child still got the attention. So their work's done. And their sole purpose is not to irritate you. Their sole purpose is to fill this basket. That's what their sole purpose is. So we're going to go into strategies which will also help you fill this bucket in advance. So you don't have those, little babies coming around you when you're on phone calls or you're in meeting. So this bucket will be filled, right? It does go with the rule. I'll explain that rule a little bit later. But we'll go into the next one because I know Ricky's going to kill me if I go overboard, right? I can go on this forever. But let us discuss a few things which can resolve a power struggle. Now, what is a power struggle? Your child wants a cookie, right? Your child wants a cookie and you're saying, nah, not happening, dinner time. No, mama, I want a cookie. No, it's dinner time. No, I want a cookie. No, it's dinner time. Now, you can put this into any scenario, but this is what an example, basic life example of a power struggle is, right? Now, we've had many instances when we have power struggles, and I would also go beyond and say this without any hindrance that utilize this information on your partners. This is relationship, guys, right? Utilize this information with your friends. And when I say relationships, means all relationships around you, your friends, your family. Use this information which I'm giving to you. It's not just related to parenting. And I'll take a moment and to say, parenting for me is just divided into two words, parent and ing. Now, remove the ing, it's not serving us, right? Get it out of the way. Parent, right? And who is a parent? That's you. It's about you. Parenting is about you. It's not about your kids. And write that down somewhere if you want. Parenting is not about the kids. Parenting is about you because you model whatever you want to teach to your kids. So it's about you, right? So what do we do to reduce this power struggle now? First things first is pick your battles. Now, this seems like a small one, but it's actually pretty big. And majorly applies, and I'll give an example as well. So majorly think about a sibling rivalry. Yeah, if you've got two kids, definitely pick your battles. Not every fight or not every sibling rivalry or something which your child has done is worth attending to. And write that down. Everything with your which your child does is not worth attending. Because if you jump in, your child's not learning from that experience. They're learning from what you know. Is everyone with me? Yes? So pick your battles. If the yoga tub has dropped on the carpet, don't scream. Hold it. Hold it there. Think about, is anyone getting hurt? Think about this. Is everybody okay? Yes. Then you don't have to fight that battle. Right? The second one is engage your kids in problem solving. Engage your kids in problem solving. This is a very, very important tool. And if you use this tool correctly, it can literally resolve any power struggle. Your child's not cleaning their bedroom, right? Power struggle going on. You want the toys to be packed up. It's not happening. And I want you to say and ask your child. Now, problem solving is asking the child a question. Ask your child a question. But, hey, I'm thinking to clean your room, or your room needs to be clean. How do you think we can come to that outcome? Whatever you want. Is everyone with me? Write this question down. I am thinking, so it's not power, it's just a thought which you are sowing in them. So there's no control, like I want you to do this, I want you to, that's not happening. Right? You're asking them that I'm thinking to do this. How do you think you can support me? When do you think you can support me? So if you've got a teenager or a tween, I'd say somewhere around 9 to 11, 12, they're also pretty headstrong. So just ask them this question, right? I'm gonna just quickly take another person. I can hardly see a few people, but Shruti, if you just unmute yourself just for a moment.
Yep.
If you ask this question to your child, what are they likely to answer?
Sorry, what question? Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I can repeat that question. So engaging them in problem solving. So say, for example, you ask them that, hey, I believe the room's very clean. I was thinking if I can clean the room, or if you could help me with it, what do you think you can do for it? Or how do you think you can help?
If I were to ask, I'm sure they'll be more than happy to join me.
Correct.
They might not do it exactly the way I want them to, but they will be more than happy to join me.
Absolutely. And everyone is unanimously agreeing that this is something what will happen. They'll probably love to join you if they're little kids, or if they are older kids, they will give you deadlines. They'll give you timelines, like my 14-year-old, right? He'll tell me when he'll do it. And the most important part to drop in this is your parental ego. Like Shruti said, it will not be the way she wants, right? But it will be the way the child understands she wants. Now, there's a difference in that. The way she understands and the way child understands is two different things. But if you, Shruti, leave the room the way your child has done it and not touch it, it's not according to you, but it's the best your child could have delivered, right? I don't know the age group of your children, but if that's the best she or he could have done, what do you think will happen from there in their mindset? Think about that.
Yeah, they would have a huge sense of accomplishment for sure. I have done
Absolutely.
that one way or the other, and I've seen that if we accept it the way they've done it, they have a huge sense of accomplishment.
Absolutely. Their confidence starts increasing in themselves. Now, they seem like small things and small toolkit. The impact's major. And if you have young kids, I mean, I could have just called him in and introduced you to my 14-year-old, and he develops all of this with me. A lot of mind and brain goes in developing the program. So I see it from children's point of view, and I see it from parents' point of view. I discuss it with my 10-year-old. I see my husband's point of view. I get the parents who worked with me in for feedback and keep evolving these programs, right? So you're absolutely right. That sense of confidence increases. And sense of confidence is not just about cleaning the room. That sense of confidence, once imbibed, will be used in studies, will be used in friendship, will be used in other areas of their lives. So it's very important. So by engaging them in a problem-solving question, you return that power back to them. Because you've been taking away all of that power all this while. Right? The third very important one is offer choices. Now, I've heard this before, and I would like you guys to understand, do not offer more than 2, maximum 3 choices. Right? Would you have pancakes for breakfast, or would you have eggs and bread? Would you like to study in 10 minutes, or would you like to study in 15 minutes? What is that doing? It's giving the choice, the power to your child back to decide if it's 10 or it's 15. And they've made that decision. They are more likely to do it in that time frame. But you are the winner. How does that matter to you? Screaming of 10 minutes or getting the work done in one go, 10 or 15? You choose. Right? Whenever you give a choice, and I want you to write this down, analyze your choice yourself and make sure it's a winner for you. Because discipline, I want to break down the word discipline. It comes from the word disciple. And it really just means teaching. It's that student-teacher relationship. It's showing them the great path, not giving them the answers of what to do or not controlling them. So we will discipline them. It's not just about agreeing to what the child wants. No, we will discipline them. Discipline is a positive way of engagement. Punishing is a negative way. And they are 2 different things. And people club them in one. No, it's wrong. Punishment is different. Discipline is different. Discipline is a good word. And we'll stick to that word just with these practices. Now, give warning and provide consequence. I'm going to expand on that. You guys don't have that on the screen. So please follow what I'm saying and write it down on your piece of papers. There is only and only one warning to be provided. And this sounds like, oh my gosh, will it get done? Yes, it will. I'm coming there. But this will be only done on your day-to-day daily behaviors where you are struggling. So your morning routines, your night routines where parents struggle most, something related to study or food, etc. Or screen times is a big one, guys. Write it down for screen time. For this, the way the consequence have to be provided, I want you to follow this. Number one, the consequence needs to be relayed in advance. So let's take an example of screen time. Your child is not switching off the screen when you're asking them to switch. And I understand a lot of parents use alarms, and a lot of parents use, monitoring setup. That's great for a age group, right? But what does that child, what is that teaching your child? Think like that. Is it self-reliance, or is it reliance on something else outside? So alarms are great, and I do recommend alarms if your child's under 5, 6, 7 tops. But try this, and don't get scared by the word consequence. I do not have a better word for it because it is a consequence. But let's go a little bit deeper into that. So if you've identified that your child doesn't leave the screen, you are going to have a chat with your child one day, sitting down when your child is in a state to absorb and you are in a state to speak. Because what happens is when we give consequence in the heat of the moment, we can't follow those consequences. I've said that before, so I can use my example. I have said this before. I'm going to take your phone. Take your phone till when? Okay, take my phone. I'm going to take your iPad forever. I'm not going to give it to you for 2 days. I'm not going to give it to you for 7 days. We've done that before, right? All of us have done that. Can you as a parent keep that for 7 days with you? No, it doesn't work. You want to give it back. You need a break. Let's be real, right? Right? So this consequence, the way I'm going to tell you to sort it out, think about everything before you even start speaking to your child. So it should be relayed in advance. That's number one. So it's not supposed to be said at the time of the actual behavior, but before the behavior occurs. So at a time and day, every single day that's happening. Second thing is your child and you should be in a calm state, right? Your child should not be watching YouTube when you are discussing a consequence with them, because nothing filters through their brain, right? So you should be free, your child should be free. The third thing is it should be relatable to the problem. If you don't study now, I'm not going to let you go and play with your friends. That's not relatable. No. It doesn't relate to the work they are doing. If you have to give a consequence around screen time, it will be around screen time. If you have to give a consequence around the study time, it will be around the study time. Increase it, decrease it, do whatever. You think of the consequence first, right? It needs to be related to the problem. It should be time bound. You should discuss that. And I also want you to engage in problem solving with your child. So discuss the consequence and come up with the consequence with your child. Because I can tell you, if I pick up any one of you here and I say this to you or ask this to you, that if your child, 100% our children know that we're upset about screen times, yeah? And if you ask them, Mama is really freaking out about what to do with your screen time, it's not good for you. Can you tell me what should I do? Your child will be able to come up with the consequence themselves. And that's where you catch that conversation and you roll it and you add or you take away a few things, right? The last thing which I want you to keep in mind when you're setting consequence is your child should repeat the consequence. Now, what this means is it gives a mutual understanding, and you know that they have understood exactly what you told them. And after this will come just that one warning. And then the consequence would apply. There's no need of discussion. Your child will throw a heck of a tantrum, but like I said, we're going to discipline. I'm not about just permissive. We will discipline. Your child will come around because you will repeatedly do this, and they understand you mean business. Right? Now, I'm just going to go into a little bit of detail about screens. Yeah, and that's information I want to give. I just don't want to hold back. What I have to keep a tab of time. I'm looking at Ricky, and Ricky was like, oh, okay, cool. Thank you. So we have to understand what's happening, and I believe and I trust that that problem is with all of us as well, that we are on our phones and devices, and we can't tend to leave it. So I just want to go into a little bit of a psyche, what's actually happening. I won't go into too much detail, but what's actually happening is that when your mind starts getting stressed about anything, and I'm going to explain stress, so hold on, start getting into that stress mode, what happens is your mind starts looking for something which gives it instant gratification. And I want you guys to write this down. Your phones and scrolling through that is a no-brainer for your brain. It enjoys those images. It keeps it going. And what it does is it gives you instant relief. So those stresses which had gone up now have come down. And your body feels nice and calm, and you can sit and scroll before it's 2 hours and like, oh my gosh, I had to do this. Now, when I explain stress, you guys will all laugh, but laugh your way through it. A sink full of utensils is stress. A dirty house is a stress for your body. And you often find yourself, yeah, I'll do it in 5 minutes. I haven't taken rest since morning. I'm just going to sit on the couch and scroll on my Facebook, and oh my gosh, 1 hour is gone. That's exactly what happens with your children as well. That's their go-to place now. So please identify this. This is what gives them happiness. And you would have asked your kids, I'm sure. I've asked my kids, and I'm like, why are you on this thing, or why are you on this YouTube or whatever? And one beautiful answer to it gives me so much happiness. I love it. I love this video. So this is what is happening inside of them. So identify that and empathize with that. Empathize with yourselves as well. Understand that whenever your stresses are going up and you want to put off a job, that's where your mind starts looking for something. It'll quickly give its, relaxation. And the first thing which comes to your mind is pick up that phone. And you don't even know it. But now, because you know, you can't unknow. Right? So with the information you guys have got, your brain's trying to flick you to the other side. What we do through our, parenting courses, explain this more, and we go into procrastination stuff and whatnot and goal setting. So we know when we get the work done before the instant gratification and shiny things syndrome catches us, and we get back to it. All right, so we'll come back to the screen. Everyone okay with giving warnings and consequences? If you guys have a question that you want to ask, keep putting that in that, what was it, Ricky? There was, so you got the link there, reposted, Ricky. If you guys have a question, put it up there, because I can't really see what's coming through the chat. Now, this is a very important one, the 5th one, and a lot of people don't understand this. Know what you want out of the situation. Knowing what you want out of the situation. I'm going to give 2 examples here. One of the examples, you've served lunch for your child, right? You've called your child 1,000 times and they have not come. And then finally you go and you blast your life out that the food's cold, I've served it, it's been gazillion hours, da 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 da, and all of that drama, right? My question to you is simple. What do you want from that meal time? What do you want? What is really you want? You want your child's tummy to be full. That's all you want. But what we create it into is a platter full of drama which we serve our kids. And what goes inside them is not nutrition food, but some amazingly colorful words. Right? And same thing happens when you're asking your child to study, isn't it? You say, hey, could you go and sit and study now? Your homework time. What do you actually want from them studying? And that's it's a constant in Asian parents. And I want to bring this up today. What do we actually want? We want them to learn. This is what education means. Now, if Ricky, if you want to unmute, your wife's screaming on you, she's going bonkers. Yeah? Has happened with you before? Yes, you just imagine that. I'm sure that's happened before, so you can go on and imagine that. But at the same time, I am in the picture and say, hey, Licky, I really want you to learn this. This is amazing. This will really help you in future. Your mind will be saying, shut up. I don't want to learn this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Correct?
Yeah, I'm already tuned out.
You're already tuned out. You don't care. What are you learning about? So when you ask your child to sit, you actually want them to learn something new. You want them to learn something or whatever they're doing, right? Repetition, as you would have seen by now, if you've got kids in education there, it bores the hell out of kids. They don't want to do the same thing again. But by you telling them again and again and again and again to sit, you've lost that period where anything can go in your child's brain. So you've lost that moment by screaming or by yelling or making them upset. Now, if you guys don't scream and yell, don't get me wrong. Everyone screams and yells with their energy. And I can prove that to you just in a moment when I give you this example. And I want you guys to think about these. I'm sure you guys are amazing parents. So you guys have decided you get up in the morning, no matter what, I'm not going to get upset today with my kids. Yeah. And then you don't say words, but your body energy is so heated up that your child is already sorted. So you don't have to say anything. You give them a stare and they go hiding under the couches. And they're like, oh, I better not exist right now. She's upset. So you do not communicate with your words. Communication is very vast. Words are only 7% of your communication. Your psychology, your energy, your mindset has a lot to do with it. Your tone has a lot to do with it. There are a lot of factors, right? Sometimes we do kind of raise our tone and we're trying to be nice, but we raise our tone. It is still not impactful, right? It is still not impactful. So I want you guys to understand what you actually want from the situation and then take actions accordingly. Now, if your child needs power, it's okay to give it to them. And you'd understand this when you start putting the conversations in the power and the attention bucket. And remembering that it's not easy because finally we've become parents and we've got control. Our parents never gave it to us. You gotta let that loose. We gotta share it, right? So it's not easy. You'll really have to work a lot with your mind and move this through. Now let's go into filling the attention bucket. The sweet little basket's very easy to fill, right? The first one is a very, very important one. And I want you to understand the importance of it as well. Organizing a regular date time for each of your child is very, very important. It's extremely, extremely important. The reason for that is we are around our kids with online schooling and us been working from home and stuff. We all exist together. But do we spend time together is a completely different aspect altogether. With adding this to your calendar, it's changed my life. Like if I work a lot. So I know in my day, dedicated 15 minutes to my elder one, dedicated 15 minutes to my younger one. That's all I want to fill this basket for them. Because they are big as well. They're grown-ups as well. See what suits you. If you can't do it every single day, do it every single week at least. And this is to fill the basket. So this is a constant work. It's not something you do today and you let it be tomorrow. That basket needs to be filled for those behaviors not to come out. Remember the example of your relationship with your partner? Just keep thinking about that. Anchor it somewhere, right? Go on a bushwalk or nature walk around the neighborhood. The introducing of family games changed my life. Guys, it takes 15 minutes to play an Uno game. No kidding. And if you're telling me that you can't, you really need to come to my workshops to set your mind around how to manage your day. No kidding, right? 15 minutes as a family, making sure we give lots of positive attention. So remember, screaming, yelling, getting upset, getting angry is still attention, but it is negative attention. And your child doesn't know the difference. They're getting their attention they need. So just making sure that you're giving more positive attention than negative attention. Allowing them to help in the household chores, whatever they're doing. But like we discussed with Shruti, remember the power is theirs. That'll increase their self-confidence, their self-worth, and the idea of completing a task, which is so important. This one fills my heart. Remember, you can only give what you have. You can't give attention if you don't have your own attention. If you do not spend 15 minutes with yourself in a day, you cannot, with full heart, with filled, love, you will not be able to do that with your children. You'll take it as a task. And then you'll feel guilty that, oh my gosh, I'm doing this for this person, I'm doing this for this person, I'm doing this for this person. There are no Superman, superheroes, super wonders coming to help you. You've got to help yourself. You need to fill your power and attention bucket, remember? You also need to fill yours. So keep giving back yourself some power. That power to go and buy something which you've been holding on to for a while. That little attention which you need. Sit to meditate. Write a journal. Whatever helps. Yeah? And remember, it doesn't take long to fill these little baskets. 15 minutes a day is all I'm asking to give to your child one-on-one, and you'd see how things change. And from the power, struggle, start offering them choices, engage them in the conversations. This gives them a lot of confidence. Now, few other things which impact your child's behavior. I'm going to go through this list because we are quite aware, but there's a few things which I will explain. So sleep, we all know, sleep can cause behavioral issues, hunger, over and under stimulation, right? If the child plays a lot, child plays less, big life changes, which I want you guys to understand, because most of us would be immigrants and life changes do come in our life as we shift houses or we build ourselves up in new countries, right? You have to make sure that big life changes, you take care of your children. Diet, allergies and food intolerances, learning challenges and processing speed. So 2 5-year-olds can behave completely different, and we know that. But there's a difference in processing speed as well. Please do not compare your children with other 5-year-olds or other 6-year-olds. Do not do that, because your child has their own strengths and you want to be able to play on those strengths. So understand that. Friendships, whom are they friends with? Feeling unsafe. And our children can feel unsafe in our own homes. And you guys be like, what the hell? No, my home is a safe place. No, it's not. Every time you take that power away from them, they feel unsafe. They feel fear and they feel the worry. And I'm again going to go back to your relationship with your partners. Whenever you have a conflict with your partner, what happens in the house? It's a very cold environment. Imagine that same feeling in your child's heart. Because they can't say it doesn't mean they don't feel it. When you use words which can inflict blame, shame, and pain, and I had a massive conversation about this with my husband, who a couple of years back when I started introducing these courses, and he said, oh no, I don't use any blame, shame, or pain words. And I've pointed them out to him. Simple conversations. And I'm going to give you 1 or 2 examples. How many of you say, oh, I told you so? What is that? That's a blame line. It's shaming your kids for the decision you have taken. Oh, I want to go on my bike alone. Yeah, go. You tell yourself that's okay, let them go. They go for a ride, they fall, hurt their knee. I told you you should have gone slow. Your child took a decision to ride faster. Natural consequences are the best teachers. We can't teach nothing to our kids. We can only learn for ourselves and model it to them. When you use these kind of lines, and your partners have used it on you sometimes, and I'm not going to go into that whole relationship rut again, but you feel unsafe inside of you, and so does your children, right? Vision and hearing problems can also cause behavioral issues. Mental health conditions, activity and screen time must be managed. There are fears and worries, which I've covered, of course, in feeling unsafe, lack of routine, structure, or clear understanding of what comes next. So I want you guys to literally write this down somewhere, wherever you're writing. Kids need a routine structure, and so do we. We thrive on routines and discipline. So don't think that letting them run around is what we're going to do. We need them structured. Some kids have difficulty reading social cues. Now, I want to explain that, because when you go out with your friends and you, of course, I'm sure one of you would have that friend, and you can think of one person there whose children are going under the tables in the restaurant and hitting other kids and doing certain different things. That's in a social environment, right? So one of the parents shows big eyes and the child understands. But you are going on and on showing your big eyes, but your child's not moving. That's because your child's not understanding your social cue. So if your child doesn't understand, please help them understand your social cue. Tell them, if you do this, I'm going to show you big eyes, then you stop. Because they don't know what you're doing that time, showing big eyes to them, right? So insecurities and shame, which I've covered, difficulty expressing thoughts and feelings. Children don't have the vocabulary you guys do. So just make sure you give them the words. Are you feeling XYZ? You give them the word if they can't give it to you. Temperament and personality type, I really go very deep into this in my course, and development stages, which I go deep into as well. Now, the thing is, we need to understand, why do we actually yell or get upset? or get crazy, whatever you guys want to call it. Why do we actually do that? We do that because we actually can yell, because we have the power and we can yell. Now we yell because we think that they're taking us off on purpose. Like I gave the example of the phone, but that's not what it is. They just want to fill their attention bucket. We also yell because we want to get instant results. Now, I want to explain this just for 2 minutes. When it didn't happen the first time when you said it nicely, and you went to the second time, it didn't happen. You went to the third time politely, didn't happen. But the 12th time when you yelled, it did happen. Your child did listen to you. So you've unconsciously programmed yourself to understand that yelling is the go-to. And slowly this 12 times reduces to 8, 6, 4, and then you become the angry person in the house. Do you understand what's happening at the back? But this also happens with your children. They know not to take you seriously the first time, the second time, the third time, but when the 12th time you will raise your voice, they will listen. You guys are with me? We have programmed ourselves to yelling or getting upset or getting angry. Now, we yell because we don't have better solutions. And that's where I come into picture. I give you loads and loads and loads of tools, but I work with the parent, on the parent. That means your mindset will change when you work with me, right? None of the tools will help you if this doesn't change, right? The last one is we yell because we are yelled at. And that's not just common in Asian societies, but it also is so common in Western societies as well. The East and Western, both. I've worked with so many people who did not even know why were they going back to yelling or getting upset. And some of the parents have come to me, they yell, but they don't have that kind of background. Their parents were very loving and kind. But they saw the relationship between their parents was not good, and that's where their trauma sat. So sometimes you don't know. It's not always my story. Your story could be different, right? But we yell because it's our go-to place for those of you who've been yelled at. Now, let's understand, how do we stop yelling or stop getting upset, right? But before we go there, let's understand what yelling does. I really want you to read this line and anchor it within yourself so that you don't have that courage to do it. Yelling that's caused by anger and rage can scare kids emotionally and damage them. And in my program with research, I show you what happens to their brains. And it killed me inside that I didn't have that knowledge for 10 years. And for every action I have taken, I have to take multiple positive actions to reverse it, right? The big surprise here is that your personality contributes to your child's behavior. And we're going to go deeper into that, right? We're going to go deeper into that. Ricky, did you want to say something?
Yeah. Hey, Ankita.
Yes.
I'm just looking at the time, and we've been enjoying this. So
yeah. So we missed the breakout rooms, and we continue.
Yeah. Let's get
Okay,
the breakout
beautiful.
room. We can, because there's a lot of questions on Slido as well. So I want to leave room for that.
Perfect. I have no problems. But you guys have all got papers and pens. Let's get going, right? What I want you guys to do is, I'm going to tell you what to do, not to yell, but I want you guys to dig deeper into this question, right? Does your personality contribute to your child's behavior? Just write this down for me. Does your personality contribute to your child's behavior? Who you are contributes to your child's behavior. And then I want you guys to answer these 4 questions on your screen. It's 1:20 here. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to answer that. And while you guys are answering, I'm going to explain each question so you've got that right, right? Does my personality fuels power struggle? So when your child asked for that cookie, and when you say no, are you adding to the power struggle or not? With the information and understanding you have now. So I wanted you to think about that. I don't want you to just think on, oh no, my personality doesn't fuels power struggle. Think about how many times you've said, no, don't do that. Why are you doing that? Think about all of those questions while you answer this. Now, does my personality provide safety and comfort for my child to make mistakes? Before you guys answer this question, I want you to think about that glass full of juice which fell on the bench top, which was a mistake, and you went crazy. I want you to think about those vases when your kids were playing and they've thrown a cushion, the vase is broken. I want you to think about that yogurt tub which fell on the carpet. So does your child have a safe environment to make mistakes? And I really want you to think about these questions. Does my personality allows freedom? Freedom to make mistakes. And does my personality allows my child to be what they want? And I know most of us are Asian sitting here, and with to be what they want, you guys will start thinking, oh, doctor, engineers, musicians, or whatever. You guys will go a little bit broad. Yeah, artist. Yeah, I get that. That's not what I'm talking about. To be what they want, to be who they are. Our job as parents is to keep that self-esteem which they are born with, that self-worth which they are born with, to keep that intact. We are the one which shatter it. Trust me, it's very hard-hitting. We are the ones. So think on those lines and answer these questions for me. I'm going to stop sharing just for 1 minute while you guys are answering these questions. I can put the questions in the chat.
Hey, Ankita, we are not, they are all writing it down, not writing it down in the chat, right? Just on their pen and paper?
I mean, if you guys wish to share it in the chat, then please do, but definitely put it down on your books because I will take a couple of shares.
Okay.
All right, so 5 minutes in, I believe everyone of you got some answers with yourself. I'm just going to stop sharing for a moment and just take one or two people. I think one, because we are very short on time. I can still keep going on, but I know I will get messages from the team saying, keep quiet now, please. All right, so whom can, Naya? Is it Naya, or am I pronouncing it right?
Naya.
Naya, all right, thank you. Sorry. Do you have something on the paper for us?
I do. I wrote down the questions as well as answer. And power struggle, yes. The other second one is, I thought it's yes, but lately I've been interacting with my daughter and I find that no. The third one, I'm confused. It's maybe yes, maybe no. I'm not sure. And the fourth one is yes.
Okay, beautiful. So second one, you said, does my personality provide safety and comfort for my child to make mistakes? So you said yes, but you think your daughter says no. So the answer is no, your personality doesn't. They are the ones who decide, right? And just like Naya, just you also guys go back to your kids and ask them these questions. You'll get the actual picture, right? You'll get the actual picture. But thank you for sharing now. Like, it's exactly what it is. Does my personality allows freedom? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. I get it. Right?
I said no because lately I've been finding that she's been not open the way she used to be when she was a under 12. Now she's teenager and she's a little bit more fearful to share things with us. I think because my husband and my husband's more strict than I am, but he's like a little bit more fearful that the outside world is not safe, and he's constantly worrying that what if she will make this mistake, or what if she make this mistake, and he's constantly just bombarding her with the suggestion and other stuff. So she's been more quiet and not sharing stuff. So that's why I think it's no now. It used to be yes.
Beautiful. Thank you for that share. And I do want to bring attention to what she's just said. It starts reflecting in teens. You can do what you want when they're little. It starts reflecting in teens, and as they grow older, we all know where it can go. But thank you for that share. Anyone has a different answer to what Nia hit? Pretty much everyone's on the same page. And if you go a little bit deeper, you'd find that the answer is either not always, because your ego is still coming and it's not letting you go yes, right? Or it will be yes, I do feel power struggle. No, my personality does not provide that comfort and safety to my child. Does my personality allows freedom? And I do want to just reiterate that sometimes freedom and safety just means your child does not want to tell you something, and you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with that. We know, we all know, universal. We learn from our own mistakes. And like Naya shared, my assumption is either you, your partner, would be giving things on a platter. And then we say, oh, my kids are not resilient. Well, those are the consequences of serving everything on the platter. You're not allowing them to be resilient, right? Assumption is that you guys would have all had similar answers on your sheet. And I do request you to go back to these questions after we finish, or tomorrow, whenever you guys have time. But sharing my screen back again, we must understand that we play an equal role in our children's behavior. We model everything. So there's nothing new which they learn. It's us. They are like our mirror. What triggers us is for us to go deeper into. So we should love our triggers. Now, understand that if we simply stop doing the things we don't want our kids to do, they will not learn it. And this is a very hard-hitting line. If you take it, don't do it. Don't be on your phones if you don't want them to do it. If you want them to play with you, play with them, right? So simple, very, very powerful. Now, we do go into how do we actually handle ourselves when our chemical reactions going crazy in our body and we're yelling, we're getting upset. First thing, acknowledge. It's taken me a long, still on that journey. It's not like I'm going to push the switch button down and you're going to be all cool. Doesn't work like that. Understand it's not easy. It's a lot of work internally. And then your external start reflecting. The biggest thing which I say is when you guys work with me, what happens is if you have two different styles of parenting at home, the other person, you start rubbing off on the other person. You start rubbing off on your children. Everything starts coming together, right? We get to know our own triggers. It's very, very important. I've spoken about triggers before. Your child will trigger you, and that trigger goes back to something in your timeline. And like I said before, I am certified in timeline therapy. Nothing triggers you just like that. It goes back in your timeline somewhere. It's happened before. That's why it's triggering you. So understand what triggers you. The biggest trigger for people, for parents is, which I've identified, is a dirty house. That's a very big trigger. You can get triggered because of that. So understand that that's your trigger. Use a very soft, calm voice. Focus on helping and not hurting. That should be your biggest focus. You should be resourceful for them. You are the teachers. This one is a big hitting one, and I want you guys to take this seriously. Imagine someone is watching you. You don't behave that way when you're outside, do you? So make sure you know and understand that. Understand that small losses can be big win because it is all about this. It's all about connection with your child. It's all about connection. And while I get this to a full circle, some of you have written down your parenting goals in the beginning of the session. And I know Ricky doesn't know this is coming, but I still kind of loop that in. You've written about skates, you've written about dancing, languages, screen times, bedtimes, and that's what goes in our mind. It's so analytical. It's so step-by-step process in the day. You will be surprised when we do this in our sessions. This is the first exercise we do, and we do a lot of others around to build this up. None of you have parenting goals that your children should be happy this year? None of you? It's about the connection. What do you expect your children to do? Take care of you, be with you. You treat them like trophies. But it's about the connection, right? Without taking much time of yours, I would invite you guys to join my program.
But in all honesty, thank you very much. This has been amazing. Won't say too many things, but just one quick thing. There's quite a few questions that are still there on Slido. So maybe we'll connect offline to create video segments or even text message that, and then we can put that on the website. So that way it's resolved. But otherwise, thank you all for joining in and wish you all and your kids happiness, health, and harmony. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.